see beautiful Italy. All for yourselves. We'll now jump into the map bans, and our main man Thatcher is gone once again. Let's see what the other offensive ban's going to be. It's going to be the Habana. Not a bad map ban at all. This is not what we saw inside of their series initially on Villa that I watched through. They actually kept the Habana up, but we've been seeing Habana banned out on Villa regularly now, mainly because of the impact tricking that's capable with the other hard destructors online.
Obviously, a lot easier to take their utility out compared to Habana's. All the other hard breachers are just a 1-piece, whereas Habana's is a 6-piece utility. So it's a bit trickier to make sure you knock them all out and fully prevent the breach. Mira is going to be our first defender ban, as is Echo. So you guys know that one from the last 2 maps already. We're following the same exact trend there for map number 3.
Yeah, it's 3 of the same, operator, and then pick your poison for the third. That's what's happening between these two. We've had Thatcher, Mira, and Echo banned in every single one of these maps. So
it's always the second pick. That's the different one. No one's banned Thatcher second, interestingly enough. Not really important. I just wanted to point that out. But.
Well, also, if you've noticed, Estral started defense single map.
Have they actually? That was part of what I was wondering, is whether it was because they were in the same position or if they had switched sides. But thank you for answering that for me.
You're very welcome, sir. Sometimes I, know a thing or two. And I also know that Cav is not going to be picked up and 6 picked over to Castle, which is a much better
I didn't
operator.
believe that for a second. It's like the biggest bait 6 pick in the entire game right now when someone picks a Cav.
Just got to lock it more often. I feel like there should just be one team that locks Cav at least like 3 times a game. Just for the meme, not because it's good.
It can kind of work on Villa. I've seen it work. It's obviously super niche, but it can work if you want to bring it in on Villa. There's so much roam potential here, so she can get away with a lot that she wouldn't be able to get away with on other maps.
Yeah, and she has the impacts for rotations for hatches and such. She's actually got a pretty good kit to abuse Villa. The only thing is that her SMG is terrible, but it's all backed up by the fact that she has a really, really, really good pistol, and we're talking like one shot down within I want to say 10 meters, but it might even be more than that, which would be even crazier. But every once in a while, she'll definitely get you with that one shot, and it's not the greatest of times.
I think it does like 90 base damage, doesn't it?
It used to. Now it does 65.
Okay, yes, they did lower it.
You know what I hate about myself sometimes? I was so bad in school about remembering things, and then this game, it's like, hey, Stokes, what was this gun value? I'm like, yeah, it's 65. Like, oh man.
Well, we asked you guys in the chat for your map predictions about who's going to be taking this one. Seems like most of you are still in the favor of Estral. In fact, quite a few more of you than the previous map. We're up to 77% in the Estral camp. 23% of you are favoring Timbers right now.
I gotta agree with them. I have to agree with them. Estral's been playing lights out throughout this entire series, and the main thing is that it's been their entire, scoreboard that's been lighting up instead of just, here or there. So it's been an entire squad act for Estral to continue to win these maps. Inside of the Timbers camp, though, it definitely has not been the same story. We've had a lot of outliers, particularly Biz, but a cold start, but immediately after warmed up. But it's going to be Vector to start us off here, who finds the perfect angle. Skimsy's going to hit him with the NS.
And some respect in the chat for that one. So Hard Breach also going to work its way into the site relatively quickly here. We should also note that factor as well. We haven't talked about the actual site selection too much just yet, and the fact that we see quite a bit of play happening downstairs at the beginning of the round compared to what we normally expect, which is obviously those upstairs holds. We almost never expect to see a team going right to the living room right at the start of a map.
A very extended hold for Estral as well. They've already lost Skimsy very early on here. That's the Doc as well, which could have helped with a lot of these gunfights later on into the round, particularly with his healing ability. But Estral is doing a very good job of denying time, and that's the main thing right now. They are going to go for an aggressive angle here with the Vigil, but Toski can't win it out. Raven actually on top of that one, and Looks like they're going to be able to get a diffuser down, but Biz is lit up by Zigmas and Pixie on top of it as well. Morph now with the diffuser in hand, and Zigmas goes for 2. Morph adjusting where he's planting, but no, he doesn't have any overwatch here by Vector. He's completely by himself inside of sight. After this diffuser goes down, they should be all over him. He could go for the diffuse right now because of Vector upstairs. I don't even believe that he can possibly prevent that. Let's see as he looks down. Am I wrong?
Nope.
He has to go to the opposite side, but Fungi's already got it done. It's already locked up and locked down as Estral capitalized on a very poor plant by the offense.
Those arches coming down from the ceiling are the only thing that stops. You can even see the bullets right there too. They're the only thing that stops him from getting the angle off right there. So close to having the soft destruction and being able to stop that. Right idea. Just ultimately, you got to go back another 20 seconds and wonder, why is he out there all alone in the first place? Unfortunately, not in the greatest position to try and close out that 1vx, and was in a losing spot from the start of it.
That was just very interesting there for Timbers. I don't know exactly why that was the game plan, especially since they didn't have Vector and so to be able to help with that situation at all.
Yeah.
It was very predictable that right after that diffuser went down, somebody's going to peek you, especially when you're by yourself. In that site in particular, there's not very many safe places to plant without being seen. So you're more than likely going to die. And that's exactly what happened, and it led to their demise.
Kind of just like a YOLO play there from Timbers to see if it worked, and unfortunately it didn't. So Estral will come out on top, and Estral are going to be very happy about that, considering they just won a living room defense in the first round. So now we'll see them shift over towards the much more traditional primary and secondary sites that you expect teams to go to, especially in other regions. We're going to go to Aviation and Games here this upcoming round.
And Timbers is actually just stuck in 2012 with that YOLO play and is running in there. So you only live once.
Yeah, I know that. That reference was like really out of date. I just couldn't think of another way to describe it. Like.
It's perfectly fine.
I tried really hard not to say that, but it just fit the situation too well.
I completely agree. YOLO has its place, you know? It has its place. And let's be honest, at one point in time, we were all a YOLOer, all right?
Everybody was all about that, 8 years ago, so...
Yeah, it's all about Drake and the YOLOers.
Is that actually how old that is now?
Yeah, 2012. You only live once.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, it's the song The Motto by Drake. That's what it is.
Makes sense, but doesn't make it feel any better.
That man's made way too many songs, dude. Like, it's insane how many songs that guy now has in his discography. Ooh, big words.
Yeah, that's quite a few letters in that word. But moving on, as we're gonna pass that terrible choke, take a look at how Estral is looking to defend things backstairs now that they're on the more traditional sites, and Timbers, of course, more than likely approaching things from a traditional attacker perspective too. Not usually a whole lot of ways to bargain for a different strategy when it comes to attacking the Aviation in Games. So for the most part, we're going to see players working their way in through both that main entrance, art studio, and of course the study upstairs. Then you'll have the players pushing in from the other side of the map to eventually crunch the site and push in.
Well, Toski could be in possible trouble here, as we're going to have some utility burn for bus door. Zigma's with the initial kill onto Vector. That's actually going to be quite a big pick. Vector's been the main man getting these kills, but now in for some trouble. No, that disc did not get caught by an ADS, by the way, for everybody wondering.
Had to think
that was
about
just
that.
another piece of utility getting caught there instead. So getting rid of all of the drones now off of sight for Estral. Toski's also going to take quite a bit of damage, but he's actually going to end up winning it out instead. Did not see that one coming. Going for 2 now. Very low HP, but he'd much rather back up and play out his life.
Smart move from Toski. Not only that, but keeps the man advantage still in their favor. Not going to be able to support with actual frags. He can at least be a bit of a mental advantage, and the Timbers are going to have to play against that, regardless of how low he may or may not be on the Timber side of things here. Bit of spam coming in from Toski as he tries so hard to get the reversal off onto Morph, and nearly does it. Morph just has a tiny little bit left in his health bar there, so under 5 HP, more than likely. But does indeed confirm the kill onto Toski. Puts things back into a bit more of a palatable situation here for the Timbers. Now they're moving into study and taking control, especially with only about 40 seconds remaining. The execute should not be too far away.
Can't be too bad about that one, though, with the low amount of HP. The shield also going to get destroyed by that reinforcement. Raven with an early pick, though, almost hits the flick, but Pixie, a very weird spot to be as he's standing up on the table, adjusting his head height. Now it's all up to Estral to try and stop this plant from happening, and it's on possibly the worst case scenario that could possibly happen, which is morphed. He's only got 1 HP and now he's been downed. Estral deals with Timbers very well inside of round 2. Very unfortunate that Nomad got down by that toxic babe.
A little close for comfort there at the end, but thankfully the hold on the inside of games was relatively untouched throughout that entire round. So they had very secure positions, even beyond the loss of their teammate on back bar there by the 90 doorway. Still able to quickly adjust and keep control of the situation to claim round number 2. It's over to Trophy Statuary next here for Estral as they look to claim their 3rd round on the half.
Estral's defenses here are so damn good, and I like their application of Goyo as well. They're not putting the shields in anywhere that could possibly put them in a bad situation if they were to get preemptively exploded. It's just overall very well done by them. Toski also going to be switching off of the Mozzie over to the Wamai. This is interchangeable here mainly because they brought the Mute as well, so they could always go for that standard combo everyone's used to for the information denial, but they'd much rather make it harder for the Timbers in that secondary utility department. This is something that they've struggled with throughout the entire series, so why not put another roadblock in the way?
All right, so the setup for the upstairs hold here at Trophy Statuary. Again, this should be pretty much what we've come to expect in terms of like reinforcements and whatnot anyway. There is going to be a bit of an extended hold still going over into Aviation and Games. You can see the 4 reinforcements being committed to the corner wall on the inside of that site, along with just your usual ones in Master Bath and against the transition wall between Master Bedroom and Statuary.
I still really want to know why Vector is so adamant about bringing this Claymore. I know it's such a like fickle thing to talk about, right? It's one piece of secondary utility. But with the Nomad, I'm just surprised he doesn't bring the breaching charges more often because of the vertical play that they usually end up going for when Estral is on a, base floor site. Vector's usually upstairs, and he can abuse a lot more of those angles if he did have those breaching charges. So it's just something that I've noticed throughout this series that I initially assumed that he just wanted to claim more for either flank watch when they didn't have the Nomad or what have you. But now they've been bringing the Nomad a lot more often, and it's just kind of a weird secondary utility pick there.
There also hasn't been much in the way of things like runouts and whatnot either. There's it's been happening a lot in the map, as you said. So setting it up to counter a rotate or something is definitely going to come out. But trying to set it up outside is like not really needed at this point here when you consider Estral hasn't really been one to try and throw aggression at Timbers that early on in the round. It's mainly been happening inside of the building for the most part here. Either way, getting further into the round itself, Sigma's always the first on the board, it seems, is going to be the same yet again on this round. A great angle to eliminate Vector. Thankfully for Vector, you won't have to worry much about that Claymore this round because he's dead.
Unfortunate for him, but definitely fortunate for the side of Estral, as getting Vector off the board means no impacts, no concussions, and that Claymore sent sky high along with his soul. So Estral now sitting in the good seat here. Passenger set on cruise and waiting to drive down the highway. Raven now trying to get rid of any utility that could possibly stop them from getting control of this wall. He does have the downstairs area on lock, and it doesn't seem that Estral want to try and play with it anytime soon. Should be seeing Biz get in at any moment in time and start working on this hard destruction. But oh wow, a burst from the SMG-11 catches Biz off guard, does quite a bit of damage initially, but we could have a kill here as Sigma's already shifted across towards Concrete, picks up a kill onto Navy, and Timbers in an even more dire situation.
Keep in mind, quite a few players not even really in good positions to start an attack just yet. Another member of Timber is going to get dropped too. That might have been the one. Actually, no, I don't think it was. It might have been the player in Repel, but either way, more players are going to continue to fall here. It's not going to matter who was and who wasn't on Repel, as Skimzy just single-handedly shuts it all down from the inside of Astro. Beautiful work from Skimzy and the rest of Estral as they take a flawless round against Timbers here to put them up 3-0.
Oh, man, not only can you not get the kill initially, but the refrag doesn't work either. That's just insult to injury right there. So for Estral, this has just been a clean sweep so far, and Timbers really losing the mark. And honestly, it might have just been the start to the map, just having that issue where the diffuser went down could possibly be messing with the morale. That's always something to consider when it does come to things like this. Timbers, although their offensive unit hasn't been the greatest, it hasn't been, this poor. Right now, it seems that they can't even get the ball rolling for hard destruction, let alone getting these initial frags.
All right, guys, into yet another round, into yet another confrontation between these two teams here. And for Timbers, things continue to get more and more dire as the map moves forward. Estral continue to secure a greater advantage that they can work off of on their attacking half here. One that they may not even have to work so much if they can push this up towards 5 or 6 rounds just in this half alone. It's over to the final site that they haven't played onto yet, as Estral will play the full breadth of bomb sites throughout this map as they now go into kitchen.
Especially with the living room start, I mean, you might as well continue to throw curveballs at Timbers and hopefully they stick. And so far, again, they have. So going into this now, though, it's going to be a top take here for Timbers. They're going to have to go about the clear in very similar fashion to the last round. We'll see if it's successful this time around, though. Last time, Vector getting picked off very early, which was just the initial small snowball that eventually became a boulder.
We're going to see Timbers, as you said, prioritize mainly getting control of an access point on the top floor to start off with here, although there is going to be pressure working its way over towards the laundry area as well. Start putting some early pressure to the inside of the sites themselves. So maybe they might ignore the upstairs take to begin with here. I'll want to follow that a bit more closely, and there might be good reason as yeah, in fact they are. They're just going to go right in. And it's going to lead to a 1-for-1 to start things out, but the site hold itself is looking perfectly fine. We've got other players trying to wrap in from different positions, though. This is Morph now moving in, takes out Fungi. That was the only other player in the site, so it's been cleared out. Timbers can go for a play.
Very, very poor timing here for Estral. Biz already halfway through this plan as that'll get locked in now. So into the post plan is Estral as they have to retake. Nitro into China as it's going to be Toski in tandem with the Mute to try and have a successful retake here. Initial shots work out, but oh no, it's already all the way down to Biz. He has to do it all, plant and get the 1 versus 3. Will he be able to hold on to it? Oh no, couldn't find his way through the door. Stun grenades out, but they're going to continue to push him. He finds one. He goes for the pick, but wide swing here could have spelled disaster. Another stun grenade out, but he full whites himself. Just a little too quick to the punch. Skimsy's diffusing as well. Can he hear it? Oh no, gets caught off guard. The outside of the ACOG blocks the Mute, and Pixie puts a shotgun shell to the chest.
Estral, a great turnaround there, and what was Timbers being gifted a site take, but unfortunately not able to follow it through in post-plant. Estral swarm back into the site, mainly from the Astro Stairs route, take back control away from the Timbers, and get that counter diffuse off. A good attempt, a very fun round indeed with the way Timbers play it, but not enough to get them on the board.
Well, we're headed back to Aviator Games, and that's the troubling thing, is that this offense right now for Timbers just can't even get a foothold, even when it's gifted to them. You're talking about getting a diffuser plant down after killing the only member on the entire site. Everyone else is off in La La Land trying to roam, and the diffuser gets set, and they retake through China, which is one of the most predictable spots to do so. No picks from vertical play, no nothing. Just heads up, walk into the site, and kill everyone. And they were allowed to do so. Even with the air jabs online, they were allowed to do so. It's like the utility usage for certain parts of this for Timbers continues to put them into these bad spots where Estral are continually adapting and thriving in that environment.
All right, so Timbers being put into a very bad position here now as the scoreline continues to soar for the folks on Estral. They're going to be putting themselves in a great position now to try and get themselves within range of being able to close out the series. They already have the 2-0 advantage to work off of here. Just that single extra round, or single extra map, excuse me, is all they need to take this series home, along with the SI points and the money that go with it. And a big congratulations to, because why not? They're putting in a lot of work for this. Keep in mind, folks, that their places in the major today have carried over from the regular season of the Mexican Championship that was played out along with all the other leagues over the past couple of weeks. These are the first and second place teams. Estral was the one that won it back in the regular season with, I believe, a 5-1-0 record, if memory serves me correctly. And their opponents took second with a 5-3 or I don't remember their record, but it was obviously second. So it was all coming from memory.
Did you just see what happened?
Not really.
Okay, so let me put this last 45 seconds in for you. So Navy hopped inside of Mudroom window and got just all of his health deleted by the Vector. And then Fungi made a rotate through Art Vault to the main hallway, ran past the piano door, didn't even look into it, which Buck was in their skeleton key in the ceiling. And then he just walked out and shot him in the side of the head.
All right.
And that was the first minute.
Okay.
I don't know.
Interesting turn
I
of
don't know.
events.
I did like the thing that blew me away is why Navy just hopped in a window with no drone. Like that was like, okay, you just
Like,
do you, man.
that's Timbers though. That's what I've been talking about since the beginning of this series. Is like they are not afraid to take a risk. If someone's gonna die from their actions, they don't care. It's fine to take that risk based on the play we've seen so far throughout this series and the prep work I did.
I really hope their coach is just like, some of you may die, but that's a risk I am willing to take.
Pretty much, and hey, I mean, if it works, it works. It's just unfortunately today it hasn't necessarily been working all the time. So.
Very unfortunate, but now it's down to the study take and quite a bit of damage dealt to them, but it was traded out for Fungi, but that does not mean that these guns can't come alight even on low HP. The drone economy's definitely been shattered for the offense, though, as we get down to this 1 minute category. Plenty of map control in their hands, but a nice shot from Skimzy to open up the door. Yet another one from Sigma as they continue to shut down all of these rotations from the offense.
Timbers players trying to bargain for control over the site, and they do get a swing from Pixie. Biz is going to be able to capitalize upon that one, taking him out of the fray. More players looking to swing in, and they do have a shield to support their push behind the main bar inside of games, too. So this is actually a pretty good lineup for Timbers to take control. Biz is in position. He'll start working on the plan. Where are the retakes from Estral? That's the question right now. For the most part, they're being shut down. But look at this. Tries to deny the plant. No! We see fire going out all over the place and a flurry of trades. But ultimately, Biz gets the final kill, and Timbers comes out on top, finally getting them around on the board.
Well, that was something else. I don't even know how to describe what just happened there on those 5 seconds, but it was definitely something. For the most part, though, the thing that surprised me was I legitimately thought that the Thermite was the man that killed. He was the man who killed the guy that pushed the breach when he was looking the completely opposite direction. I was like, that shouldn't happen. So we're gonna throw some replays up for you guys as we're going to enter a rehost, which if it's a run of what has happened before, it seems that we're more than likely going to just have this one and then be right back into things. But so far throughout this, Timbers only able to claim 1 round after a very bad start, finally able to battle back and get a diffuser plant inside of Planes and Games.
Yeah, and considering that 1 round, though, it is the beginning of something for them to start working off of a great take overall on Aviation and Games, which ultimately kind of abused their opponent's setup a little bit too with the way that they had the shield setup working for them. So allowed them great access to it. Any players from the defenders that might have been in Gun Vault or Aviation really couldn't do anything to stop that push unless they caught them on the transition between the breach, the shield, and the back of the bar. And as we saw, they tried to swing in, counter pressure from 90, but it was just too much to deal with at that point in the round there. But as you mentioned, only the first round they've been able to pick up. Away from this, these have been very, very one-sided for Estral, even coming back into the round in situations where they had really no business being able to do so, as we had in multiple situations. This on top of a lot of other problems that we've been seeing from Timber, specifically early on in the map, makes me a bit worried as we get ready to head on to the second half. But hopefully I'm wrong about that. Hopefully this most recent round is the start of something great for them, where they can start to build back and work into this series, especially in the second half.
With the offense on Villa, it's okay to bend. You just can't break, and that's the thing right now. They need to pick up this next round, and they're actually in a pretty good spot then. 4-2 is not the worst scoreline in the entire world, but 5-1 is a completely different world when it really does come down to it. It might be only a 1 difference, but when it comes to the 5-1 scoreline, that's a very long road ahead of you to be able to even try and tie things up. So they have 1 more attempt on offense to be able to win that 1 round, and then it'll be a toss on over to Estral to try and win this out on their offensive side. So for them, though, looking into their Villa setups, not the most unique things in the world, but work so very well. Their shield play in particular that you mentioned, John, stellar gameplay.
Yeah, really great work from them to be able to not only delay, but find so many advantages at the beginning of rounds here. Very rarely were they working from the back foot, but even when they were, still had the confidence to be able to win out the necessary gunfights to get them back into a site or back into whatever situation they're working towards at that point, and be able to refrag out against their opponents from Timbers. That's a department where Timbers has really fallen down so far. This map is in the individual fragging department. We really haven't seen as much prowess coming from the individual members of the roster that we had been seeing in the previous 2 maps. There was a point where we almost had 1 player over on Estral have the entire combined kill total from Timbers. So that's something that they really need to be able to pick up here too over the next few rounds.
And that's the troublesome factor there for them. But guys, we just got word from production. It's going to be about another 2 minutes before we end up getting back into game. But since they gave us a time, it usually means it's guaranteed. Obviously, things can happen in between then and now. But did you guys hear that? That's me knocking on wood. So hopefully everything's fine and we'll get through it. I've cast or cursed a lot of things today. So cast or cursed a lot of things today. So I'm just gonna go about it, do my little spiritual knock on wood, and hopefully things work out.
I'm just gonna say you're setting people up for disappointment, and that just doesn't really be the case here. So yeah, hopefully you're right. We'll see on that one.
The amount of things that I've accidentally cursed today is actually insane. I think I have like 4 just inside of this series.
All right, well, hopefully this won't be one of them, of course, as we want to get back into this map as quickly as possible, figure out the results, see if we're going to have an Estral victory from today's matchup, or if their opponent still has the fight left in them to carry this over into maps number 4, maybe even number 5, if they can take control of that one as well. Still a long series potentially to go, folks, but Estral want to try and cut it short if at all possible, and they are really on the war path to do so, with the only real exception so far being that most recent round played. Other than that, things have looked very much in their favor, and I would imagine it would remain that way even going into this last round, but we'll see.
Yeah, Timbers is definitely going to need more than a chainsaw to cut into. So for them, I don't know exactly what the game plan is, but I can definitely tell you when it comes to that defensive side, we need to see a more even killed Timbers. We haven't seen that throughout this entire series so far. I don't want to see them get crazy aggressive because, as we saw, especially inside that first round where they were able to get that diffuser down, that's just way too much aggression. Yes, you were able to get the objective play, but what did it cost you? That's exactly what they have to be asking themselves inside of these rounds, because sometimes it's just not the play.
Certainly not the play, and certainly not the way to win out rounds, as has been the case here for quite a few, especially within the first 3 that have already gone through. I mean, even from an individual perspective here too, just talk about that a little bit more from the perspective of Estral. We've continued to see those players perform very, very well with inside of this matchup. A lot of confident individual swings coming out from them, really coming into their own now. They've got some great control to work off of on the previous rounds. That means that they can afford to play a lot more aggressively as well with inside of the rounds themselves, where they were a little bit more timid on, especially from a defensive perspective, looking at the last 2 maps, compared to their opponents, of course, who were very gung-ho about being aggressive on defense, and oftentimes have over-pushed that a bit to an extreme, and has cost them rounds.
All right, guys, well, we are right on the cusp of getting back into the game. So as we are waiting on that, seems to be that I don't exactly know. We still have things going back and forth. I actually expected it to be a little bit quicker than it was.
You can't set that up like that, my man.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Here we go. Oh, no, it's not. Well, it's not. Chad, it wasn't. I'm sorry. We all got debated, Chad. Apologies
okay, now I think we're going.
Okay, now we're back.
Here we go. Okay.
I'm just having a day. I'm just having a day.
We obviously have to wait for the primary stream to go back in game as well. We don't have the capability to do it when they're not in game, so that's why we were getting all excited there for a second, even though it wasn't actually ready yet. To go now. Back in game, of course. So let's take a look at things. Let's find out if indeed Estral can close things down here on the 3rd map, or if we're going to go the distance for the Timbers victory.
Listen, I'll be the first one to admit that I don't know Spanish at all, but I would have been willing to bet quite a bit of money that that transition screen was going back to game, and I would have lost my entire everything. I would have lost it all.
I got you good.
They really, really did. But we're headed back into game now, though, folks. We're headed to Trophy Statuary for the very last site here for Estral. Obviously, both of these teams being on break for a little bit have had time to discuss, and this could mean that we have a completely different Timber showing. What do you think about that, John? Do you think that these pauses can have an effect?
I think it definitely gives a lot of time for reflection, right? It just depends on how successful that reflection actually was and how much that the in-game leadership and even out-of-game leadership from Timbers managed to pick up on during the first 5 rounds themselves. Obviously, they don't listen to us. They don't hear our feedback, whether it's correct or incorrect, so they have to figure a lot of this out on their own, and if they don't realize those things, they may not make the appropriate adjustments.
And that's the difficult thing, is knowing what's wrong when you are truly in the muck. You know what I mean? It's a lot easier to step back and say, oh, hindsight's 2020. You should have just done this. But when you are truly in the trenches fighting this war, then there's going to be some very big problems. And that's usually the problem that happens with a lot of teams, is the adjustments just aren't quick enough because you can't figure out exactly what's going wrong.
Things are going to start to go wrong for Estral at the beginning of this round as Vector gets himself off with a hop in towards the red stairs, ultimately allowing him to take out Pixie in a duel. Although, once again, just barely winning out that duel, though. Only survives with about 10 or so HP. So we'll quickly run down into the basement where he can survive, and I imagine go back to at least a bit of droning work for the next 30 seconds until the rest of his team is in position.
You can see by the way that Timbers is clearing out the basement level down here inside of dining and kitchen that they're very worried about this roam game from Estral. What a shot from Navy, though. Quick shoulder check there. Rips Zig in half, and now they'll be able to finally push into Master, and we might possibly have some hard destruction down here. This is a very good follow-up to their previous round.
Yeah, the members of Estral very congested now in the remaining positions they actually have control over. A few of them trying to take aggressive angles, and that could lead into an even greater deficit in the favor of Timbers, but not this time. Toski, he's got the lock on Vector's position and immediately swings into it, confirming the kill. A run out here from one of the defenders as Skims is going to be able to get one for himself. Doesn't want to hop right back in the same window, though, so heads downstairs instead to Bicycle and is going to re-entry from here. Has another player in his way, though. Raven is right outside of these sites. He's ready to counter it if he tries to swing back towards Astro Stairs.
That's a huge pick from Estral as well. That's the thermite down, no more hard destruction in hand. They're still worried about this rotation from downstairs. They damn well should be. It's a 3v3 right now, but Morph's going to make it all the more difficult for the defense to lock this up. Skimsy still on roam as well, as Navy is the one putting the diffuser down. And it's going to be confirmed here. Nitro Cell out, but not before the kills come through. So it's still going to count as a plant. And that's going to be 3 plants on the side of Timbers.
Timbers, a very focused execute this time, prioritizing not only getting through the clear on the first floor very quickly, but also managing to clear out basement and set the team up to get into a quick position to push both the Astro Stairs and Master. They do exactly that, and that on top of the 2 kills they got in the process of clearing make actual site control a relatively easy process. You got to give credit to Estral for the very heads-up play to try to turn it back around, but it seems that the actions taken by them at the beginning of the round set them up for failure, which they just could not come back from, even with the great mid-round adjustments.
Well, it seems that we're going to continue the train of unusual sites to start us off here. Kitchen's actually going to be the initial site here for the defense of Timbers. We're going to have an adjustment on the offense as well, picking up that IQ. So have a counter for any possible intel game. There's quite a bit of it actually for Timbers. Valk as well as Pulse brought along for the ride. Catch that up with a Jaeger as well as some denial, and the Ella being brought out as well. This will be the first time that we see her inside of this series. We'll have to see how well Navy can perform with her.
Makes sense if Timbers want to continue to play a very off-site focused strategy. It's very roam-centric. While it can be an operator, we can find a bit of impact. It's not necessarily the first choice for a lot of people in that situation. Another poll, folks. Wondering what you think of the current status of this matchup. Who is going to take control of this matchup for the number 1 scoreline? You guys seem to think it was Estral. 81% of you, the Timbers fans, are dwindling Stokes, it seems.
It seems to be only 1% at a time now, though. Previously, it was
really
a
slow
huge
dwindle.
flip. They're on a drip feed now as opposed to what it was before.
Like an hourglass feed, you know, just a couple little sand granules at a time.
Just throwing sand at everybody. Sand attack. that's the next operator. Use pocket sand.
Be a great operator. Some toxic sand I can throw in people's faces or something.
What's the primary weapon that you put with your sand attack operator?
Oh, that bug assault thing. You know that thing I'm talking about? It's that shotgun that shoots salt at bugs.
You literally just put the sand inside of your gun and shoot it at people?
Give him one of those. Does a dot. That's the kicker.
Oh, could you imagine if there was actually just a salt launcher and just like one-shot headshot? That'd be insanity. Oh man, I would love Ubisoft so much for that. Can that be an event? Please be an event.
Going back to the round, we've got a couple of fights that have happened, but haven't actually led to much yet. A lot of them happening through soft walls, so limited angles for both players to get anything out of that. But it seems like Estral is going to come out with the first actual frag here as they finish off Vector. Some pressure immediately being thrown into players like Raven, though, as that wall is going to be swung open right next to him. I believe that was done by Pick on the other side in the White Tarps room, so we have opportunity for Estral to still come out on top, and it's going to be found as Raven panics, tries to swing, and Pixie takes him out.
Very harsh entry here for Estral, leaves Timbers spinning. But they do have a possibility of a comeback here. Navy playing the hatch above with a hole that we don't see all too often, but Toski and the rest of Estral all over this one. Seems like they're continuing to get intel as they collapse down onto site. Sigmas, can you get that kill? You can indeed, my friend. Down to the 1 versus 3 now, but as Navy rotates back to the site, Estral cleans them up, and they also claim their first offensive round here on Villa.
Estral looking good once again to be able to swing things continuously into their favor. We get a little trade there at the end of the round as well between two players, but still plays into Estral's favor as they've got the majority alive and the only players alive at that point. 5-2 is now the scoreline after that 2-round run from Timbers at the end of the last half. Things are going to shift back into the control of Estral, who now sit only 2 more rounds away from closing out the series in 3-0 fashion.
Very unfortunate round there from Timbers. It seemed that they had the adjustment as well. It was just too little too late when it came to Estral's ability to entry frag onto the map. They're able to get that map control very early on, and they continually get those frags off the rotations of the Timbers members off site. Traditionally speaking, we've seen quite a few times where they're able to actually just kill a member on site and just, hey, we have this room now, we're going to get a plant down or what have you. But for Timbers, it is seeming like that aggression is still there and is still possibly causing some issues. I mean, the Ella being offsite and holding down Laundry, yes, I absolutely get you. Very important room to hold, especially since it immediately leads to the outside. A lot of offenders rotate through. But in particular, right there, you could have been used on site to be able to help your teammates inside of those gunfights to hold separate crosses, or even possibly a flank to try and kill off one of the members of Estral holding a very important angle.
Away from that setup, once again looking pretty standard as far as the hold on the site is concerned. A few Goyo setups here that are mainly going to be used to delay more than anything. As well, we have some castle barricades going up. Players over. It's actually a pretty interesting setup for Timbers to work off of here. It's not in any way, let me correct myself from earlier, it's not really traditional from what we expect. They are try to possibly play out inside of Master, which is not something that always happens. So
you never really see Master played at all, except for maybe like a deployable shield on concrete. Usually we see them inside of the Master closet, and they will stack ADSs and Wamais in there until Kingdom Come, mainly because you have to try and burn this man out of here. That's the only way to do so. And obviously, with the bans in place and obviously no Capitao on board, it's going to be all the more difficult. Oh my God.
All right.
Sleep well, Skimsy. That's a GN, man. I hope you had a NyQuil sponsorship for that one.
Yeah, so Estral will learn pretty quickly how hard locked Master Closet is going to be, both between the closet, the rotation wall, which normally has all 3 panels reinforced, but at the moment, Timbers have a rotation set up through it, and then the kind of weird way that they split Master Bath as well. I say weird, right? But it's like it's working out really well right now, just to clarify that. So I'm only saying weird in the fact because that's not what we're normally used to. Vector, in the meanwhile, also playing the off-site Goyo, looking to see if he can potentially catch players that will be looking to hop in on the first floor and clear things out down here, too.
Well, Vector seems to think that someone's inside a pantry with him, but there is nobody home. As for the rest of the Timbers members, though, they're lying in wait with open arms to see if Estral will possibly walk their way into sight. For the time being, though, they've ran into quite a few roadblocks, particularly Master Closet setup, but finally they find some signs of life as they take down Biz. Biz just not having the best series today, and what a rough time to have it as well.
There gets a quick glimpse of a flash animation from the connector window, so tries to pay mind to that for a second, but doesn't catch much from us on the other side of things, so it's not going to be too worried about that for the time being. Navy, in the meanwhile, getting a little bit impatient inside of Master Closet there, wants to know what's going on outside the window. They have already gone for a check to confirm information, and Vector, in the meanwhile, just going for a wild C4 toss does not end up working out, and Pixie finds another kill for Estral. He's gonna get a second one, in fact, and now why not? Let's make it 3 as Morph tries to swing on him too. Vector, now the only player standing for Timbers, and it's not gonna stay that way for very long. Fungi eliminates Vector and claims the round for Estral, putting them on match point.
I feel so bad for the spectator inside of this series. These kills happen so quickly from the most random spots that you would never assume they were going to happen.
Yeah.
Ever. It's truly incredible what Estral is able to accomplish here. They're practically flooding site almost every single time with hard destruction and all, and simply getting these rotations off to where the defenders don't know exactly where they're going to get attacked from.
Let's take a look at this tiny little pixel peek as well. Could barely see it even with the zoomed in POV. So a nice shot to start the round off for Timbers. Unfortunately, couldn't follow it through once again until the end of the round. So Estral take it once again.
Well, you know what time it is, John.
What time
it's possibly the last round of the day for you and I. If Estral is able to close this out, folks, this is going to be it. This is 3 maps in a row as they completely shut out Timbers inside of this best of 5. Such an impressive series by both of them so far, and the scoreline honestly not giving them the benefit of the doubt. The last 2 maps in particular, very close when it came down to those, last 1v exit and so on and so forth. But Villa, completely different story here. Estral practically bullying Timbers the entire time.
Yeah, this is by far been the most one-sided map, but the last 2 have been really competitive, and to be fair, it's been a real treat to watch it just due to the play styles of both of these teams. Really a big fan of what they're bringing to the table, and hopefully we get a chance to check some of them out in the future as well. Hopefully, with some of them managing to qualify to SI if they manage to stay within the top 16.
And very exciting stuff. And once again, thank you guys for having John and I on the LATAM broadcast. It's been a fun series so far. Hopefully it's not done just yet, but, just in case, get the little bow out in there. Appreciate all of you guys and what you guys do for the region down here. It's amazing what is what's been accomplished, especially within the Mexico teams. I mean, I'm actually very impressed with what they're able to accomplish. Usually when it's a region that you've never watched play before, you're very skeptical of what's going to go on, and although it's a very aggressive play style, it just seems to work for them.
Let's take a look at the mid-round action here, as we're already about a minute into the action phase of the round itself. Estral looking to try and seal the deal with an attack against Timbers here, and it is going to be, I believe, against an Aviation Games hold. Already a good amount of control, especially from the other side of the map here, going over to Estral. They've got good control of statuary and trophy already for themselves, and more importantly than that, they've got some good shots here on the frag grenades. Confirmed ping coming off onto Navy. A quick follow-up frag grenade knocks him out. It's also going to destroy the gas grenade charges, which could have been used later in the round.
Well, big kill onto the Nomad. That's Toski, who's been the most impactful player throughout this series, alongside Zigmas and Pixie, as well as actually most of the squad has actually been having some very good games. But oh no, it seems that Timber's finally coming alive, particularly Raven, but he's going to get immediately traded out as Pixie pushes things up the red stairs. But as we've grown to know with both of these teams, it never seems to be the end, even when you think it is. Estral finally resting in a 2 versus 3 situation.
It's like a trade chain going on over there at second floor red. Gonna make things very interesting now as it puts Estral into a delicate position. Zigma's still outside of the map and making a lot of noise as he hops in here, possibly to throw off the sound a little bit of where he might be going. So gets himself the thermite charge onto the 90 wall and is going to be able to wrap in as a result of that. Another player found out just on the edge of top red here too, but can't capitalize and secure the kill just yet. So that player is going to be able to safely fall back closer to the site, or in this case, just to a little bit of a safer angle. He's, I think, might have been just looking at the corner right there that was not aware and not ready for the push from Zigma, so he evens it out. Fungi pushes it down to a 2v1. Everything's on Morph now. He finds Fungi, brings back down into an even 1v1. Does have a confirmed position there with the red ping onto the last player still standing. It's going to be Zigmas. Zigmas gets aggressive here, though. He's got 15 seconds left to try and confirm this kill. Waiting for the swing up. He gets it, but he can't get the kill. Morph gets the better of him, and Timbers claim round number 9.
What a round there from Morph to keep Timber's hopes alive, and a very aggressive choice there from the Ash, but definitely not a bad one when it came down to it. A 1 versus 1, Wamaya's on site. You're more than likely not going to get that diffuser off. Just use that timer to your advantage and try and rotate and get that kill instead. Doesn't work out for him, though. Timbers stay alive in this one, 6-3. Let's see where we're headed next, though. We're going to be heading to Kitchen, which was the initial site that they had so much trouble on up against Estral.
And we... Okay,
Caster
so...
Curse did it again. Yay.
No, that says no rehost. Or it says, like, rehost not necessary, I think
Rehost
is what that
not
says.
necessary, yeah.
Yeah, so... I guess that player's going to reconnect at some point in the next 6 seconds?
Maybe possibly. Huh?
Guess not.
Do.
All right. I mean, it's still live, so...
Does Estral play down one then? I guess?
Because I guess since they've... Well, it makes sense, because I'm imagining there's a rule where they can only rehost once for the same issue or something like that. So that may be why, because Pixie was the one who disconnected last time, too. So it might be like one of those rules or something like that. So I guess they just got to play with one down. That looks like the way it's going anyway.
Hey, I mean, that...
Okay,
well,
so... Go ahead, sir.
You got it. Go ahead. No, you go ahead. No, you, sir.
Just to completely clarify, the theoretical rule that I just threw out there does not actually exist. So that was more of a gentlemanly thing that Estral just did. They just chose to play it down 4v5. So props to them for that.
I mean, that's kind of a cocky thing to do. I'm going to be really honest.
Yeah, I mean...
Hey, you know what, guys? We're kind of just kicking the crap out of you, so we're just going to play down a guy because we feel confident in winning the round without him. So I think this is the time for Timbers to light the fire inside of themselves and make sure that Estral knows that this is not going to be a walk in the park.
Yeah, so apologies for the confusion about what may have happened there, but indeed a strange situation, so apologies for the confusion. Getting back into it, though, 5v4 scenario between Timbers and Estral. Timbers starting to look a lot better, especially since they get a free 5v4 at the beginning of this round. Pixie still more likely able to assist from support mode, by the way, so we can still look at cams and whatnot. Not that he's reconnected. Just won't be a factor in this round itself on an operator.
What if that was actually the play the whole time? Just have him disconnect and watch cams the entire time.
That'd be pretty wild if that was the plan. It's like, we're just better with a dedicated drone watch.
Oh, this is going to be a very important gunfight here. If Toski's able to get this will equal man count, but he's going to receive more than he gives, and that's a big problem. Does still have one air jab, though, which means he's already expended 2. Doesn't mean that if he does die, his utility will stick around and could possibly help out inside of this round. So, still has red control here, as it seems Estral wants to go for tarps, work their way into sight. Broken down the door now, though. Stun grenades in, MPX in hand for Raven on this Valkyrie. Works his way back towards sight, though, with only a minute and 20 seconds remaining. This is a very good play here from Timbers to continue to push Estral to lean on that timer.
See a lineup here for Raven trying to find that pixel angle onto a player. You can see the silhouette. He's so close to it. Hasn't been able to isolate the players out just as of yet, though. But Biz is going to be able to strike here. Manages to find out Toski, taking him out of the fray, finally confirming a kill. Zigmas, in the meanwhile, just looks up, finds himself a free one. There's just standing there. So goodbye to him. Zigmas is going to pretty quickly get surrounded, though, and Navy and Biz will close things out as they pick up the final frags of the round to secure number 10.
Much better round there from Timbers. Granted, it was aggressive, but it was closer to sight this time around, and that's exactly why it worked out in their favor. They were able to slow down Estral's offense, continually forcing them to eat that time. And as it continued to tick down and dwindle away, Estral continually wanted to peek and try and get those entry frags to bring man count back to equal footing. Never happened, though. Almost had a huge impact by Zigmas, as you guys could see. He almost was able to secure 2 kills from China, which definitely could have led to an Estral victory.
Not going to be the case that time, though. Can't close it out on the 4v5, so let's see if the 5v5 fares Estral any better here. A man up, and now an opportunity still to close out the series if they claim just a single more round. But their opponents are going to run the comeback. They're 2 away from triggering OT.
Even though it is 2 rounds, it's still quite a bit of time. So within the next 10 minutes, we'll know who is going, well, at least what's going to happen. Either Estral wins, we have our champion here for the Mexico division, or Timbers are able to push us to overtime. So So far, though, this series has definitely been one to watch with some very unique setups and applications for castle barricades and shields. It's just really opened my eyes to a lot of possibilities of these operators that we really hadn't seen before with other regions. Obviously, we have some very aggressive regions in the fact of, well, Brazil, as everyone knows, with LATAM, especially with the channel you guys are watching, as well as APAC, which we've gone to know, morphed. That was not the time to cross there, my friend. There's no dock, so you're going to be down quite a bit of HP. Looks like they're going to be setting up their castle barricade for 11 hit as well, which makes it to where if you punch it once, the castle barricade breaks. But it does not actually take away from any of its forticality when it comes to bullets.
Yeah, so still going to be able to shoot that thing as much as you want. It won't blow up, but if you whack it once, it's going to go away. As we continue to get into this round, though, taking a look at Estral, seems like quite a few players are going to work their way in through study first, or at least 1 to 2 of them will be doing so. Pretty extended hold here from Timbers as well. You'll note there's pretty much a lack of presence on the site itself, and everyone seems to either have intel about this push coming in from study, or is just very focused on stopping it. They've nearly got 4 people committed to this right now.
This seems like a Timbers play if I've seen one. This reminds me of the play that you sent me earlier on Cafe. We'll see if it ends in the same fashion. But this all leans on the intel of the offense. If they're able to read into this quickly enough, they can definitely capitalize on the back end and take sight. But right now, it seems that they really want to try and bide for this study control here and try and get some walls open. They need to get the big picks, but we're already going to have some impacts go out, and that's going to get rid of one of those exothermic charges, and this is where things get troublesome. We're almost already halfway through the round, and Timbers are doing a great job of slowing this down.
Yeah, Estral, of course, trying to push the envelope on this one, but not really being given a great opportunity to do so due to the extended setup from Timbers. They haven't been able to figure out fully just as of yet. Timbers, in the meanwhile, have started to peel it back slightly from what it was before, and the focus is going to be a little bit closer to the site, especially now that the time has gone down lower. You can see this in the fact that players like Skimzy are allowed to just walk, well, up until that point anyway, right through games until they find Navy. Navy's going to be able to pick up the frag onto Skimzy and is now looking to retreat, as he also looks like he did some good damage to Pixie.
Quite a bit of damage done, but Timbers almost with an equal exchange here, except they're able to keep all of their men up. So that's a good thing. All those guns staying alive means more crossfires being capable of being held. Estral now have the south control of the map, but the problem is that they don't have any of these picks that they so desperately needed. And as the 40-second mark hits, this is where things are going to get extremely spicy. We need to see Zigmas pop off here and get these initial frags. Does he see the Goomine at the door? It seemed like he did for just a second. Another Toxic Babe out. Let's see how many smokes are left. Vector does indeed have 1, so he's going to be able to stop something, but more for the nice rotation. Actually, a shot from the master door into benches, able to bag 1.
You can see Zigma's once again looking for an entry capability. He's going to be able to find it. Vector goes down, getting caught in the corner, but also we're going to see Pixie get deleted a second later, on top of a few other players also going down shortly after that to cede the round over to the folks from Timbers. They take solid control and are now going to be able to set themselves up for one more round, which is all that's going to be needed to put them into an OT situation. 5-6 is now the scoreline.
Well, I bet Estral wish they rehosted now. That would have probably helped them out a little.
That's coming back to haunt them a bit, isn't it?
More than likely. So Aviator Games now locked in for Timbers as they don't want to let this slip by. So the offense now for Estral, looking very similar to what they were bringing before. We'll see how well they're able to fight through this one. For the mid-round adjustments, though, non-existent from Estral in that last round. From those initial drones, they definitely should have seen that there was a pretty decent hold set up on the Plains and Game side of the map, which once they got all of the intel, they soon realized, oh, there's actually a lot of people over here, or was a lot of people over here after the damage was all said and done. If they were able to actually rotate, I could have seen something possibly changing inside of that round, but when you're going to just walk right into the open arms of the defense and what they want you to do, that's never going to work in your favor.
All right, guys, so as Stokes had mentioned, we're back on Aviation and Games. Traditional setup is here, not much in the way of variants coming out right now from the Timbers. They even do the usual extended Wamai hold back over towards the main stairs, so nothing crazy going on here for the Timbers overall, bringing a pretty normal flair to their defense on this site.
We are going to have some unorthodox holes made here by the Timbers, especially for how they're going to be holding with this site. They made some holes by map, so more than likely are making those to play it from underneath. They're definitely not going to play them from above. That's probably to stop the default plant that can possibly happen there, as well as vault, which is the opposite of the other default that we usually see inside of that particular bomb site. But now jumping into the round here, Estral has to close it out. Otherwise, we're going to OT here on Villa. Timbers still keeping things alive. Castle barricades in tow to lock down a lot of these lines of sight that Estral wanted so desperately.
No new vision being given over to Estral yet, although they are very, very close to angles of the Timbers players. Flashes on in, seeing if it scares anybody, but it is going to shake out at least one gas grenade from the other side. Navy currently holding the 90 angle, so if they can take him out early once again, this will be a good steal for the team to have, as it will not only eliminate a player, of course, giving them 90 control, but it's going to take out the smoke and those remaining charges, which can be very useful for Timbers to delay around, especially past 30 seconds.
Not too much utility usage from either side right now. Still plenty of stuns from the offense to be able to burn through these Wamai discs as well as ADSs. Still have really good time as well as they're taking control of the northern side of the map. Stun grenades pour in towards the top of red, but nobody home for the time being. Have plenty of presence, though, still to deal with, especially with a Timbers member inside of 90.
See Biz looking to try and go for a swing, possibly against Pixie and some of the other members from Estral that are taking top red control right now. They'll have so much of a setup, including Vector holding the bottom red stairs. Pixie walks into it completely unaware of that situation. Navy is also going to be able to flush out Zigmas into the open, netting him another kill. Timbers are looking unshakable right now, and Estral seems to have lost their entry edge. Nothing being picked up by them, nothing to start off of, nothing to work from up until that point right there, where finally Fungi nets a kill into the round. More kills are going to go back and forth all over the place, but ultimately it is left down to Toski in the 1v3. Picks up one, nearly had another additional player swinging onto him, but instead this player is going to play it out smartly, use the shotgun, the flash to self-blind himself, also forces Navy to turn the other direction, meaning Toski has a guaranteed win if his spray's in the right position, and indeed it is. Nets him that next kill. Now this goes down to a 1v1, and there's still just under 30 seconds left to play. Raven is assuming that this is going to work its way in from 90 door instead of the other side. Now shifts that perspective, is waiting for the swing to go in, and Raven will shut this clutch down before it goes anywhere else. Toski eliminated, Timbers on tie, and we are going to OT.
That's such a scary sight there for Timbers, and hell of a play there from Raven to even want to take that gunfight in that instance. I mean, hey, it worked out for him, but oh my gosh, the ball's on that man. Overtime now, though, between these two teams. And we are going to have the first defensive set here from Timbers. Remember, folks, this goes back and forth per round. So Timbers going to be on the defensive set here. They actually split equally on both sides, both getting 4-2. So Estral going to be bringing the same offensive lineup as they've been bringing. And we're headed back to trophy statuary. A 6 pick for Navy away from the Valkyrie and locking in Legion about 7 times.
So Legion will be the operator of choice. We'll also, hey, it looks like we'll finally have an IQ coming into play. I baited on one earlier, but finally it is going to get picked up by Zigmas here. So a little bit of anti-gadget play coming in for the attackers finally to try and deal with the utility. And in the meantime, Timbers only looking stronger and stronger on their defensive side. Prospects are good for them to try and take control of map number 3, make this series a bit more competitive.
We'll see if they're able to work this the same way as they did the last time, and if Estral will try and take from the south to north once again. Big trouble the last time once they were trying to get control of games in plains, where Timbers were able to get their initial picks and then fall back to site after all of the damage was done. Estral was never able to recover from that either. There was no signs of life after that point. There was a couple trades here and there, but nothing to call home about. So Estral, as they don the field, we'll see if they go for the master take this time instead. And from the spawns, that seems to be what the game plan is.
Certainly going to be the case, as you said, from the spawn positions, with 2 to 3 players working their way up on the master balcony now. Not going to be just that, though. We still have a little bit of play going on other parts of the map, too, as you might expect from any general attack here. But don't get me wrong, the large majority of it is focused on that balcony right now. Other players are going to be entering either into the kitchen down below or will just be joining the main group up here. So might be, you know, a very solid one-sided take here that they might just try and overwhelm their opponents. However, their opponents have a very solid setup here on walk-in, so trying to get past this, which was a problem the last time they attacked this site, is still going to be just as much of an issue here.
Well, stuns in to burn all of the EDSs, and now it seems that Vector could possibly have some trouble here. First Toxic Babe burned in less than a minute, as it seems that Estral has a completely different game plan. Oh, a frag grenade almost wiping out half of the team there. An air jab as he starts to shoot the floor. Did he down him, or is Vector now under the window? He's playing so very aggressive towards this. I'm so very surprised by how aggro they are given the circumstances, but hey, I guess if it works, it works. A little bit of damage dealt to two members, but that's a huge pick from Skimzy. Upside down on the bathroom window. Takes down the Wamai that's been so impactful throughout all of these rounds.
Gonna be able to make it out. The player that was hiding with him, though, be able to stay alive at least for a little bit longer. However, Estral do have the man advantage to play off of. As you can tell, the Timbers defense a lot more close to the chest than previously played. There's not any exposed players, except for their Legion, that can really be caught out by members of Estral here. So Timbers have to be very, very careful not to lose anyone else, as this is their site hold being taken apart piece by piece here. A little over a minute left. Estral remaining very cautious in how they approach things. Obviously not much hard breach to worry about here. They already have rotates set up into the site. Another 1-for-1 exchange will go off, as Biz is going to be able to come in there and take out Pixie after he eliminates another one from Timbers, leading to the loss of Raven. The circumstances there. 4v3 still, though. Favor to Estral.
Vector trapped between a rock and a hard place here. He does have Biz and Toa to be able to assist him on site. Maybe still down the stairs, trying to do what he does best. Try and slow down this offense, but Boom Mine's not the best from downstairs. Does impact to try and stop the hard destruction, but it wasn't in time. He actually ended up downing Fungi with that, so we'll see if they're able to get him back up. But no, it's a big pick here from Navy as he rotates up Astronomy's stairs. Only 20 seconds remain now, but Zigma's now with that GE8. Such a dangerous weapon in the proper hands, and he's been lighting up the scoreboard all day. It's nice trades back and forth, and Estral finally on this offense finds something to be had. Round 13 is theirs.
Coming down to the wire there, too. Estral nearly losing the time that they needed to be able to close that one out, but thankfully their opponents take the duels anyway, and are either that or they're forced into it. And so as a result, we will see Estral finally claim that 7th round, but as you guys can see in front of you, it no longer means absolute victory since we're in OT. That they still got to close out one more round to put them up to 8 if they want to call this map, and more importantly, the series their own, picking a 3-0 victory with it.
That was almost very scary there for just a second. I don't know if you noticed it, but at 2 seconds left, they were still contested on which site they were going to. That's why I was like, you got to make a decision here.
Yeah.
So it seems that they're going to be going for just straight utility for Timbers to have to burn through. Jaeger, Wamai, Goyo, Smoke, and Kaid is the last defensive round that Estral will play on Villa. They're going to Aviators games here, which could be a big problem for Timbers. They've done a pretty bang-up job of attacking it in the previous rounds when they ended up attacking planes the previous time. Well, initially, they actually ended up losing it, but immediately after that, inside of round 5, is where they got that big plant and play to secure their first round of Villa. We're all the way into OT now, though, so things could have changed.
All right, guys, well, let's see if that's going to be the case. Estral, once again, looking to shut this down and take solid control. First half is anything to judge it off of that they played. Things will look pretty good in that respect, but as Stokes mentioned, a lot can change between those other 6 rounds that were played out since the last time Estral jumped onto defense, so might be a little bit shaky in that respect. They're not ready to jump back into the defensive hot seat.
Now we're going to have some mice put up downstairs near the light inside of Piano. I'm assuming that's so that the light actually blocks the lights that are on the frisbee disc that he tosses. I know that that is a lot of lights. This is RGB world because we play on PC here. So anyways, getting back into the meat and potatoes of things, it's more than likely set up there so that if they do try and throw frag grenades downstairs to stop anybody, it actually ends up grabbing it. So we'll see if that does do anything. But as you guys can see from the offensive unit, there is no frag grenades to be had. Instead, Raven is back on that buck, and we have a soft destructor lineup galore here for Timbers.
Estral was in position to try and challenge towards main stairs. However, that's more than likely no. Hold on, I'll hold my tongue for a second. Fungi is waiting for an opportunity to try and swing here with the Vector, but not necessarily going to commit to it. He has a choice in the matter here. Hopefully waiting for an opponent to swing his way, but that's the problem. Waits so long, fires out a couple warning shots, and that gives away his position. Vector will be able to move up by the stairs and take him out as a result of that.
Yeah, that's the big problem there. He didn't play the top of the staircase. He wanted to pick so badly that instead he was the one that died. But they do still have some shield setups upstairs to be able to assist them, particularly this deployable shield in the bar hallway. He's going to get aggressive, though. He pops the Goyo's shield. Plenty of damage dealt to Vector, but I'm actually surprised that didn't do more than it did, down to 50 HP. Smart play there from Skimzy to use that utility as well, as we're already halfway through this round.
Burns him down incredibly quickly, but not quickly enough, as you had mentioned here. We will see the removal of the electricity from the wall there on bar side. So Toski either taking that out or with someone from Timbers dealing with it, they're going to choose to open that one up instead. Rest of the team is still working for some downstairs control too. This is on top of the main stairs control that they're also bargaining for right now.
There's a lot going on here for Timber. So much soft destruction, lots of reconstruction on the floor. Gonna have an aggressive peek here from Pixie, but immediately refragged by Skimzy inside of Gun Vault. Big pick there, especially in the sub-minute, as they continue to thwart the offensive unit here of Timbers, and they're almost completely out of drones. Those last drones could be stuck somewhere as well. Nice shot there from Sigmas as he immediately flicks towards Study. Down into the 3 versus 3. They have to get the diffuser down, though, as well. They're more than likely going to need a pick to do so.
Another hard breach going out. Second exothermic charge blowing up one of the walls leading into sight, hopefully giving them more to work off of here. Shots coming in from Toski, but he's not really able to connect. Actually, I'll take that back. He does down Biz, but the problem is the other players are finding much more impact. Zigma's now alone. He does have Biz down. Navy could technically revive him if he wants to try and go for it here, but he's going to have to do the awkward diffuser shuffle. Nah, he'll just get the kill instead. Bye-bye to Zigma's. Hello to Timbers next round as they tie it up and take it the full distance to 15 rounds.
What a shot from Navy there at the very end. Very hard to track that target all the way through, and to see him laying down by that couch tells you exactly how damn good that guy is at this game. So we've done it, folks. 7-7. This is the last round here on Villa, so we are either going to a map 4 or Estral will be our champions. After a great defensive round that it seemed to have a tide turn almost every single step of the way, we'll finally settle it here on Aviator Games.
Find out, folks. Like you said, Aviator Games is the battleground. Estral will have to come out on top with an attacking round. Seemed like they had the capability to do it at the beginning of their attacker side regulation rounds, but not necessarily the case any longer. A Yana 6-pick potentially being toyed with there, although not necessarily convinced they want to go for it, but they do end up locking it in at the end of the day, as Zigmas will be taking that instead of the Ash. Very similar weapons, and in fact, I think in his personal case, the same exact weapons, just the difference of utility that will matter more importantly here.
Well, nope, he has the ARX. So.
Oh, does he?
No.
Okay, I thought someone was running G3 on her before, so that might have just been Timbers.
I believe that was Raven. Raven's the the main man for Timbers to run Yana. So yeah, the G36C is just better in one category, and that's the fact that it has angled grip. Otherwise, the ARX beats it out in everything. Rate of fire, damage, all of it, all except for mag capacity.
Angle grip is nice though.
Oh, it's so nice. R4C win. You didn't hear that from me. Everyone gets mad when I talk about Ash.
All right, folks. So take a look here and see if Timbers is going to be able to round this comeback back under their control. Mind you, they're coming back from a 4-0 deficit, what this was at 1.2. So really impressive stuff there from the Timbers if they're able to fully round that back and be able to take this map 8-7. But ultimately, even if they come out on top of this one, that's the 5. It's a true test of endurance for both of these teams, and they will have to keep that drive going into not only the next map, but the one after that if they want to claim themselves the winner of this series.
Well, Timbers definitely ready for this north to south clear here. Have the castle barricade up, but Skimzy, very intelligent here. Much rather drone and see exactly what's on the opposite end before he sledges us open blindly. He's going to need some assistance. This is exactly what he's doing. He's going to need to fake it out with the hologram. I like the play there from Zigmas to use and abuse that Ayana Hollow to see if they can get any information on where these members are. And they definitely did get some, but it seems that the Timbers members have been spread out. Vector now downstairs. This could be something that comes up later to stump Estral.
Still only a minute through the round, though. Estral still doing relatively okay on drone count. Most of the first wave of drones has been dealt with already, but the others are still alive and well, though even that's starting to change. However, just to correct myself, is that a few more get shot out over the last couple moments. A lot of intel going by the way of Estral, but they're losing a lot of drones in the process, and at the moment, there's not necessarily a whole lot of follow-up behind this, so they'll have to be careful, and this is on top of the fact that Timbers seem to be moving pretty quickly to counter out the intel that Estral is getting, either by setting up players who had been spotted with a potential trade or just having those players fall back.
This is very troublesome times for Estral, simply because they've walked into the lion's den here, and Timbers stunting them everywhere they go. Haven't had an adjustment yet either. With only a minute and 5 seconds left, there has to be something to give, whether it be a pick on either side. We'll have to know here momentarily, as somebody has to push. They now have control of 90, which apparently has been given up by Timbers. Did not exactly see that one going on. Oh no, Maestro's on the evil eye as well, which means that's been opened and he's been adjusted out. Was not able to impact trick through the drone hole to stop that exothermic from going off. So now they have some very awkward map control, albeit that, but definitely could help them inside of this instance.
Stigmas gets the start off for Estral, and Toski's going to be able to push it forward even further. 2 kills immediately going over to them. Victor's going to take a lot of heat as well here as he tries to go for the flank all the way up Astro stairs. Biz, in the meanwhile, is going to be able to pick up the first kill against players actively trying to push into the site. That's Toski going down. Now only 15 seconds remaining. Estral are split. They don't necessarily have the room they need to push into the site. Biz just confirming another one. Now they have the man advantage. More and more of them are falling down at the heels of Timbers. Skimzy trying to force the issue on a plant, but there's just no way he can do it. Morph shuts it down. Timbers steal the map right out of Estral's hands, and they will take us to a 4th map. This series is not done just yet.
And that is all on Estral for that one. That was a very poor round. They got the initial picks that they needed, but Timbers just able to sit exactly where they wanted to and continually remove bodies from the board. Amazing round there from Timbers. That'll be their first map inside of this series.
Timbers on the board, of course, and Estral waning a little bit here with quite a few